Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is May the 27th, 2026. Hopefully this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Happy Wednesday, happy hump day. Hopefully you humped and didn't get humped. Unless that's what you're into, then by all means, have at it. As for mine, it's been a good day. The momentum has been forward. Overall, we woke up. I will say, yet again, I'm in a sleeping rut. I'm struggling on that front. But I went to bed a little too early, and then I woke up around 2 something, and I was kind of stuck awake for a couple of hours. I wind up saying, hey, let's just try to lay back down. I think around like 4-ish or something to that effect. I did manage to go back asleep at some point, so that was good. Wake up with my alarms, kind of, sort of. By like the third one, we're up. So that was my morning. A bit rough to start, but I will say after, I took my energy drink a little bit earlier than usual, like the top of the day, and that kind of helped. We also had some ice cream, so that was nice. A little free ice cream, never hurt no one. But overall, we rallied. We stayed up. We stayed steady, which was good because we were pretty short-staffed today, so I think that kind of made the day feel a bit busier in a way. But, for the most part, sans like an hour or so, I was pretty much where I wanted to be, so, thumbs up for that. Also, a couple of other little, fun perk moments of the day, fun, nice things that happened to me. I made a couple of dollars, made $20. I wound up selling, we have company picnic tickets, or family gathering tickets, as they like to call them now. They call the function. And normally, the way it works is everyone gets 4 every year. Naturally, though, a lot of people have like other, they have children, they have, significant others, family members that they want to bring to this function. So there's a bit of haggling, bargaining, whatever, to try to get more tickets, as many as you can, so you can bring a whole family. And I totally get that. For me, I haven't gone to these functions, I want to say about 3-4 years at least. So I usually just give my tickets up. I just, someone asks me and I say, okay, yeah, I got you. No problem. This time, though, as I was going to give the tickets away to someone stops me and they go, hey, can I have your tickets? I go, oh, I'm already giving them away to someone. And they go, I'll buy them off of you. And I gotta say, what can I say? We are living in a capitalist society. So I said, well, how much? And he goes, $5 a ticket. And I go, okay, you can have them. So I sold him all 4 of my tickets, and I told the other person, sorry, I made a little money though. So, so it goes. Also, we got a couple of company shirts, which I like. Anything is free is me. I don't care if the shirt is cool or tacky, whatever. So we got our company family gathering shirts, which I gotta say were not as cool as last year. Last year it was like a green, like a heather green shirt, and like it had the Strickers Grove where we have our little get-togethers. It like had the outline, almost like a skyline of that, and it made it look better than actual Strickers Grove actually is, in my opinion. But it had like this kind of horror like font. Like, I don't know, the shirt actually rips, in my opinion. It's like it's a goated shirt. This shirt though is like, it's another red shirt that we've had before. At least we've had red shirts. And like it's got like a spread of condiments and like utensils, and it's like, company family picnic or company family get together, yada, 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 whatever. I'm like, okay, whatever. It's a shirt. I don't care. Now, the other shirt that we got, which was, I feel like we do this now annually, is we have like a pride shirt that we put out, which is very cool, very, very progressive for my company in these crazy times. So whatever, I'll take it. And it's just this shirt, like, and it's got, I want to say, well, it's like a canvas kind of beige color. but it's got this heart, like, with a smiley face, like, walking around, and, like, it's got a fucking rainbow coming out the frame. So I'm like, okay, I mean, that's a cool shirt. I dig that. I fuck with that. So yeah, couple of free shirts, made a little extra, couple of bones. So, good work day for me. W work day. I will say it did rain a lot, but hopefully, let's knock on some wood, that the rain slows down or stops altogether for the rest of the week. I'm so sick of getting fucking rained on. I just need some, like, nice, sunny, spring-ish, summer-ish weather, whatever the fuck it's supposed to be, okay? I'm just sick of being wet and soggy. But, luckily it didn't rain too bad, so after work, we did get to the gym. Gym was good, and the main reason it was so good was I finally got on a Smith machine after feels like about a week. I feel like I made it count. It felt like a really good, workout. I got my core work in on top of that, and I did about 20 minutes on the Stairmaster. So, 2 thumbs up for the workout. Good pump. Post the gym, I picked up some gas and some snacks from the Wawa, and then I came home, had my snack, had my stretch, and did some research for today's episode. So here we are, ready to yap it out. So yeah, let's go ahead and do our startup, and let's get into the news. All right. Let me come down for a second. From CNN. Biden sues to stop Justice Department from releasing interview recordings. Former President Joe Biden is suing to block the House Judiciary Committee from obtaining and potentially releasing audio recordings and transcripts of conversations in 2016 and 2017 with the ghostwriter of his memoir. The court case is part of a simmering debate between the Trump administration and Biden regarding how much privacy the former president is due. The Justice Department has said it plans to release tapes regarding Biden's book, Promise Me, Dad, A Year of Hope, Hardship, and Purpose, to Congress on June 15th. But Biden argues that during his presidential administration, the Justice Department argued extensively for privacy around the recordings with Mark Zawantser because they were personal and touched upon the death of Biden's son, Beau, and its impact on him deciding not to run for president in 2016. Man, because he would have been so good as a president in 2016. It's what we really needed. Heavily redacted transcripts of the conversations have already been made public. Let's see here. I'm skipping that a little bit. The tapes are in the Justice Department's possession because they were part of the criminal investigation in 2023 and 2024 into whether Biden mishandled classified documents after his terms as vice president and discussed sensitive national security details with Zawantser. Special counsel Robert Hur did not bring any charges against Biden. In a separate lawsuit, Biden is also opposing in court the Justice Department's plan to release the same tape conversation with Zawantser to the Conservative Heritage Foundation. A judge last week said Biden should be allowed to argue against Heritage getting the tapes, which the Justice Department has also agreed to in recent weeks. Excuse me. The Heritage Foundation said it wants the tapes partially because they reportedly show how Biden was aging, having memory lapses, even before he became president. Now, this shit is very odd to me. Now, not in any way, shape, or form. This isn't me coming to any kind of fucking defense for the Biden crime family or whatever. Like, look, I've already been forced. Well, not forced. Look, I looked up this information. I looked at the leaks and all this shit. So I've seen Hunter Biden's fucking big ass dick. I've already seen too much of this goddamn family to a biblical extent That being fucking said, why do we need to hear the ramblings, the rantings of this fucking old man, while he's trying to make this book about his dead son? Like, what classified national information of importance, what security is at stake here? And then two, if that is the case, why are you going to kick this information over to the Heritage Foundation? So they can just jerk off over it, and then reveal it to the world? Look how crazy and senile our former president was. Look how crazy our radical liberal Joe Biden was. Like, what are we doing here? What is the fucking point? Also, given the fact that if there was any kind of role reversal, Donald Trump would fight tooth and nail, fight like hell to make sure that you never saw any of this shit, unless there were only the highlights that he would want you to see. So obviously this feels a bit hypocritical. It feels a bit off. It feels strange to be fighting over this. But once again, Donald Trump is that petty. The Trump administration is that petty. And then also to say on the other side of it, Joe Biden is also that petty. He does not this is for his own vanity. He does not want to be shamed. At this point, from here on out, since he's left, the presidency, or kicked out, whatever, sent into exile, all he has wanted, I think, is to protect the fucking legacy that is Joe Biden. You know what I mean? And he wants to preserve that to the best of his ability. Even though, people, we all lived it. We all watched this shit happen. We watched this motherfucker fuck up a whole ass fucking debate. We watched him fucking trip on a bike, trip on a fucking sandbag, the whole fucking nine. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, what legacy? Not to mention the actual bullshit that he's made, not just as a senator, but also as a vice president, but also as a fucking president, commander and fucking chief. We've watched him drop the ball time and time fucking again. So there, in my opinion, there's no legacy to really protect. Just fucking show them, dude. You had a little noodle moment, whatever. You know what I mean? Just let that shit rock. It doesn't matter. You got to be president. You got to do the thing that was impossible. The loser finally won one, right? And then you just proceeded to just serve out L's to everyone in America, worldwide. Awesome. We love that. What an amazing bridge candidate we picked. So yeah, in a way, this is just desserts for Biden to have to fight this, so that he's no, don't show the world this, don't give the Heritage Foundation this. But I'm not rooting for Donald Trump here. I think this is, not egregious, but it seems like a violation, right? And I don't really necessarily care about Joe Biden or anyone's privacy in this matter. At the end of the day, you were president. I don't think you get to say, no, actually for this little part of this, since I want to do my little memoir thing, I need this carve out. Why don't you just wait until after your presidency then? I don't know. So, but that being said, given the circumstances that we literally have had both administrations come to the conclusion of actually it's okay to give a president special protections. That's fine. I think that they are in some way, shape, or form protective of that. But granted, this isn't that per se. So I don't know. Maybe I'm talking out of turn legally, as I am wont to do, as I am often to do. But anyway, we've lingered on this enough to start. Let's move on from Biden and let's go into the Trumpverse. We actually got to talk about a little bit of primary action that took place yesterday. From NBC News, Trump-backed Ken Paxton beats incumbent John Cornyn in GOP primary runoff in Texas Senate seat. So, get your tomatoes out. Y'all know I don't fuck with a Ken Paxton, period. Not that I was fucking with John Cornyn. You gotta love politics. You gotta love the news. It really forces you to root for, just the worst people. And pick a lesser evil at times. So for me, I was rooting for John Cornyn to, win out. This was an incumbent seat for him to be defending. He was a senator in terms of at least from, the conservative side. So I think their feathers are a bit ruffled by this, but essentially it was kind of leaning a little bit you could read the tea leaves and kind of see maybe Ken Paxton was actually potentially going to take it. And what really put it over, or, I don't know if this is a chicken or the egg thing, but the Trump bump. Trump said, I want that guy to win. Not to mention Cornyn has been against me before, and I never fucking forgot it. We know we have a petty queen, a petty diva for president, and I love that for him. He gets his, okay. So his revenge tour was pretty fucking successful this year, that's for sure. We'll see if it's going to be at the cost of the fucking midterms, but I don't think he really gives a rat's ass about that. So that being said, kind of taking it back to the top, I'm no fan of fucking Ken Paxton. I'm no fan of John Cornyn, but Paxton, what an evil piece of shit. What a bad guy. Like, the type of guy that, like, makes a dude like Donald Trump blush. Like, oh, yeah, this dude's all about me. He's all about doing things that I like. I want to hear that. This guy fucking hates abortion. He really is, like, I don't know, just a perfect guy for, like, the Greg Abbotts of the world, the Donald Trumps of the world. They just all kind of fit in and line up together. So this guy going from attorney general to now, potential candidate, he's going to be going up against James Talarico, James, whatever the fuck, who beat Jasmine Crockett, to win, his spot for the primary or whatever the fuck. I don't know. I know I'm kind of just skipping ahead here, but I guess I just want to kind of talk about it a little bit. I don't know how that shit's going to shake out. I feel like there's a bit of optimism when I listen to some of these outlets. Like, if I'm hearing this from, like, Start Here, or if I'm hearing it from, especially, like, New York Times, maybe this James Talarico has a shot. But, like, I don't fucking know, man. Like, I think, yeah, like, he has this Christian Democrat thing, which is not, I don't really like that. There's going to be limits to what he's going to do and say that I'm going to be like, oh, yay, that's awesome. Like, but that has some appeal. But then you get into, like, some of the details. And while I'm rocking with it, like, I like that this guy believes in, like, binary, non-binary, like, having this kind of conversation saying, hey, there's more than one gender. People in Texas are going to hear that shit, especially in a fucking, like, edited, no context fucking clip. It doesn't even matter, I think. I think they're going to hear that shit and go, I don't like that. No, thank you. That doesn't seem very Christian. I don't know. That's not my Jesus. So I don't know. I really don't know how a James Talarico is going to play out. But that being said, I mean, he's gone on Joe Rogan, and once again, he made Joe Rogan blush. He's like, man, you should, like, run for president. Like, so I don't know. Maybe he's got it, but this feels like a Beto O'Rourke run. Like, just one of these, like, really charming, darling guys coming out of Texas, and he's going to actually flip the state, and everyone's, like, rooting for him, and he's going to do it, and, like, oh, look at his cool playlist, and then he just doesn't do it. It just doesn't happen, because Texas doesn't want that shit. That they want this red meat ass fucking type of fucking government, and they're just hooked on that. I don't know. So kind of just like a Kentucky in a lot of ways, though. I mean, there's definitely pockets of blue in there. You definitely see it in ways, but I don't know. I'm kind of in the weeds of this already at the top, but needless to say, a Trump pick won again. We'll see what happens in terms of the midterms there. But let's go ahead and move on a little bit. Next, not story, but next thing in this little ticker. First term Representative Christian Menifee defeated longtime Representative Al Green in the Democratic primary runoff in Texas's 18th congressional district. NBC News projects the rare incumbent-on-incumbent matchup was sparked by Republican-led redistricting efforts. South Carolina GOP rejects Trump-backed map. The Republican-led South Carolina Senate voted against a measure to advance a new congressional map, a surprise rejection of Trump's push to redraw the state's U.S. House districts. So, I mean, who knows if there's going to be incurred wrath from that in the future. But let's see. And then the last point they have here. Trump visited Walter Reed National Military Medical Center in Bethesda, Maryland, this morning for what the White House officials said would be medical and dental exams. It's his third checkup at Walter Reed in a little over a year. I'm sure they gave him like a sterling bill of health and he's fine, even though he looks half necrotic and he's like passing out at fucking, meetings and shit. Who knows? I mean, we already know we have a sleepy Joe Biden too. We just don't talk about it as much because like Trump will be posting, he will be yapping. I think he makes it up in this actual charisma. Whether you like it, whether you fucking hate it, like that. I think that's just a thing he has that just Joe Biden didn't. Like Joe Biden was just letting the voices talk. He was just talking malarky. That's about it. You know what I mean? But that being said, the signs are there that we just have like two geriatric old fucking men back to back running our country. into oblivion. It's so great. It's so awesome. But yeah, let's go ahead and I need another water break. Let's hydrate and let's move on. We got to take things to China. Oh yeah, I was also going to add too, before we move on to China, I believe that there was an Alabama redistrict map that got rejected. I believe by the Supreme Court, but I think there's some kind of emergency appeal to try to let that still go in somehow for this year's election. I'm kind of freeballing that, kind of just freestyling that one. No sources, but that's in the wind too. Since I mentioned the whole South Carolina part, so I don't know. Thought that was worth mentioning. Anyway, from CBS News. Man executed for poisoning Chinese billionaire Netflix producer Lin Kui. Chinese authorities have executed, not just arrested. Chinese authorities have executed a man convicted of using poison to kill a billionaire gaming tycoon linked to the Netflix adaptation of The Three Body Problem over a professional dispute, local media reported Tuesday. Zhu Yao was found guilty of killing Lin Kui, the founder of Shanghai-based Yozu Games, which holds the film adaptation rights for the blockbuster science fiction trilogy known by the title of its first book, The Three Body Problem. I want to take a little aside here, just to make things about fucking me for a quick hot second. I've tried to read this fucking book, The Three Body Problem, at least twice, and I can't. And it's hard for me to explain why I don't like it. I think I'm supposed to be pushing through the first opening chapter, and I just can't. I feel like they're trying to bang something over my head before I even get into the book, and I don't like that. And I know that it isn't even really about that shit, but I feel a way. It's hard for me to explain, and there's just a certain kind of barrier for some reason every time I've tried to pick up this book. And I just put it down and I didn't fuck with it. And I don't have Netflix, so I never watched the show. It seems interesting anytime someone talks to me about it. But I'm just for me, the biggest problem is getting into the Three Body Problem. Anyway, the sci-fi trilogy by Chinese author Liu, I'm fucking all the names up, Season, has been translated into more than 40 languages and adapted into television and game productions, including Netflix's popular Three Body Problem series, released in 2024. Zhu, the former head of a subsidiary of Yozu Games, I don't know why I have to say it like that, Yozu Games, poisoned Lin in 2020 over being sidelined by the founder shortly after Zhu helped his superior land the Netflix deal. Zhu was convicted in 2024, and Shanghai business magazine Yakai Global and other outlets reported he was executed May 21st. Lin's company confirmed the execution in a statement Tuesday on the Weibo social media platform. Recently, the case concerning Mr. Lin Kui, the founder of the Three Body universe, has finally reached its conclusion, and justice has ultimately been served, the statement read. All of us at the company are deeply grateful for the upholding of justice, it continued. Yozu Games did not immediately respond Wednesday to a request for additional comment. The Shanghai High People's Court did not immediately respond to a emailed request for comment. According to local media reports, Zhu spent hundreds of thousands of yuan, or tens of thousands of dollars, to buy highly toxic substances online, including alpha amanitin, a lethal compound found in some poisonous mushrooms. He disguised the poisons as probiotic pills, as well as put them inside coffee capsules, water containers, and whiskey bottles, which he then shared with Lin and other company employees. The Hollywood Reporter, citing local media, reported at the time Lin was allegedly sickened by a cup of poisoned tea. So this dude was so angry, so jilted at this situation that he was like, I'm not just going to kill my boss. I'm going to kill as many of these motherfuckers as I can on the job. How dare they fucking put me in the backlight, on the back line, when I fucking made this company what it was. I don't know. I'm just thinking what this guy's, what's whipping this guy into such a frenzy that he's spending thousands of his hard-earned money to like buy poison, and then he is fitting this into like capsules and shit, and like he's on his Agent 47 shit to an umph degree, and he's like, I'm going to poison, I'm playing the long game here, and I'm showing up and I'm putting this shit in your caffeine, I'm putting this shit in your whiskey, I'm giving you probiotics like I'm giving you poison, like, brother. And then and it culminates in you giving tea to your boss and killing him with it. Like that's crazy shit, man. That's heavy shit. We really are popping off at the billionaires on this shit, man. And hey, don't ever say that China doesn't actually come for and deliver justice even to the billionaires and to the richest of the world, okay? Because they got justice. They said, no, we got to put this dude out. He's done. GG's. You ain't supposed to do that shit. And I will say, obviously, it's very fucked up that not just, the CEO was killed, but also other people were sick. Luckily they were able to recover. That's good. But, you shouldn't have to go through that. You're over here just trying to work. You got a bang on your hands, just trying to focus on making this like, amazing project, come to life, gotta whatever. And then, meanwhile, someone is literally trying to kill you while you're at it, and it's your coworker. So that's obviously a scary thing. That's an unsettling thing. Let's see. I'm gonna read a little bit more. Lin was taken to the hospital in December of 2020 and died a few days later. He was 39. Dude, that's young. Young with a lot of money. Several others became sick but recovered. The Three Body Problem series has been hugely popular both in China and abroad. Liu, its author, became the first Chinese writer to win the prestigious Hugo Award, the genre's biggest prize. Domestically, the works spurred the growth of a sci-fi industry spanning movies, video games, books, magazines, and exhibits. Lin ranked number 870 among China's richest entrepreneurs with a net worth of 6.8 billion won, or $1 billion, according to Hurun Report, which follows China's wealthy. That's pretty much it. Let's see here. I don't know. There's a part of me that kind of want to make this whole ass fucking aside and dive into the weeds about how, like, to me, in a certain kind of way, it's weird that, like, a story like this isn't getting, like, the same kind of coverage as, like, a Luigi Mangione is. And I wonder if that's just because this person, isn't as hot, or just didn't have, like, a manifesto ready, or that we just know that it's like, hey, the motive here was I felt slighted, so I wanted to get revenge. And for that, it's like, well, there's no actual ideological reason here, so we're not picking the story up that way. I don't know, maybe so. But I don't know. I see some things about the Luigi Mangione thing, and I still kind of go, were people really just hyping that up because this dude was attractive? Because, I don't know, anyway, that's a whole other fucking thing. But this story was interesting to me, especially, too, the fact that there was a whole execution. I was like, damn, that's crazy. Obviously, I still don't like that aspect of it, I poo-poo that shit when it's America. I poo-poo that shit when we're talking Iran. I poo-poo that shit when it's China. I don't like when any country is going to use capital punishment. Like, we're supposed to be a modern age. That's just not supposed to be a thing that you have to do anymore. You never had to do it. It's just one of those things where it's like, we're supposed to be, beyond that, in my opinion, my thought. But nope, we gonna get you for whatever. Anyway, let's move on. We're gonna say this is definitely better news. I feel like we haven't had some good news to really yap about. So, NPR. Federal judge dismisses criminal charges against Kilmar Abrego Garcia. A federal judge in Tennessee on Friday dismissed criminal charges against Kilmar Abrego Garcia, an immigrant who was wrongfully deported to El Salvador. Abrego Garcia was charged last year with human smuggling after being returned to the U.S. The charges stem from a 2022 traffic stop in Tennessee. He didn't face charges then, but the Justice Department reopened an investigation into the traffic stop after a federal judge in Maryland ordered the Trump administration to facilitate his return from El Salvador. In his ruling Friday, U.S. District Judge Waverly Crenshaw said the actions by then Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche taints the investigation with a vindictive motive. The reopening of the closed HSI investigation is the source of the vindictiveness, Crenshaw said, referring to the Homeland Security's investigations, which conducts federal criminal probes. Crenshaw said the government would not have prosecuted Abrego Garcia if not for his successful lawsuit challenging his deportation to El Salvador. So, I mean, I feel like this is good news. I'm happy about it. I feel like the only thing that kind of gives me pause, some trepidation, is that, you know, we know that this Department of Justice is not going to say die on this issue. They've even said it's like, look, he is not a legal citizen, so he will be deported. That is a flat out thing. Like they go out of their way to say that. At the end of the day, that they're just like, that's an inevitable truth. So like, deal with that as you will. But like, I'm at least happy that like every case, everything that they've thrown at him, they said there's no merit to this. Like, just fucking stop. Like, you're wasting time. So I don't know if there's any kind of appeal for this, if they're going to come up with some new trumped up charges or whatever to throw at Abrego Garcia. I don't fucking know. We will see. Or if they will just, you know, once again in the dead of night, as we've seen, you know, take him and send him away. I don't know. Obviously, that'd be very unfortunate. I wouldn't like to see him ripped away from his family again. You know, time will tell. I know that I'm not, you know, I know there's some protests going on right now against ICE. I really don't have the details at hand on that. I might get to that story in the future, but I know that these kind of things are happening. They are constant, and ICE abuses are still a thing. They're just not making the headlines. They've gotten at least a little bit smarter about that. That being said, too, if not just them moving in the streets, also the detention centers themselves, which I believe are the main things that are kind of making headlines right now in terms of like protests. People are like, there's a hunger strike in one, and hold on, I could probably just pull this up. Let me see. ICE detention. Bear with me. Okay, it's New Jersey. Boodoo, we found it. Okay, I'm just pulling this right here from The Guardian. Hold on, I go out of my way. We are not criminals. Protests erupt as hunger strike rocks New Jersey ICE jail. Protests against immigration enforcement at a facility where detainees are on a hunger strike and labor strike erupted in fresh violence on Tuesday night as federal officers sprayed chemicals and charged demonstrators outside the jail in New Jersey. Following hours of relative quiet, a day after masked and armored immigration and customs enforcement, or ICE personnel, pepper sprayed U.S. Senator Andy Kim. Tensions ramped up again outside the Delaney Hall facility on the fifth day of the strike. At one point on Tuesday evening, a protester who threw something at ICE officers was chased by dozens of officials, tased, and then carried into the jail. The Newark-based ICE facility is operated by the GEO Group, one of the biggest private prison companies in the U.S. According to activists and detainees, between 300 and 400 detainees are participating in the strike, demanding improved food, ventilation, and medical care, and for their immigration cases to proceed. So yeah, I just at least wanted to talk about that a little bit. It did just kind of come to my mind while I was, you know, ranting on this fucking bullshit that's happening. So yeah, we're going to close out, though, on a bit of a lighter note. I didn't cover the story over the weekend. To be fair, it kind of wound up being a bit of a nothing burger, but we had the time today, so I was like, let's talk about the enhanced games. It kind of came and it went. But let's take our last break, and then we'll go ahead and get into it. Ooh. Okay. Once again, from The Guardian. Enhanced Games claim we changed the world, but only one record broken and 3 clean athletes win. They promise multiple world records to redefine what the human body is capable of with performance-enhancing drugs. even to change sport forever. But by the end of the inaugural Enhanced Games in Las Vegas, organizers were left with one abiding emotion: relief. Only in only in the final event of the night, after more than 5 hours of competition, could they lay claim to having gone quicker than an official world record, as Greek swimmer Christian Glokomev swam 20.81 seconds in the men's 50-meter freestyle. That was just 0.07 quicker than the time set by the Australian Cameron McAvoy in March, but it allowed organizers to put a gloss on the night that was glitzy but lacked the excitement and records they had forecast. Of course, Glucomev's record will not count officially, given that he was wearing a special skin suit that is outlawed in elite sport and was also doping. But that didn't stop the Enhanced Games CEO, Maximilian Martin, what a fucking name, bowing in relief at Glucomev's feet and claiming victory over the doubters, which is like, dude, thank you. You saved our whole fucking night, dude. Like, I imagine like him and Peter Thiel over here like, so this is kind of a dud. People are not cheering. No one's screaming. Like, because it kind of wound up being a nothing burger. Like, we all thought like, oh, we're going to see like these big men and women and everybody's going to be juiced to the fucking gills. I didn't even think about like the actual like skin suit, the special like wear. I know that especially matters in like running cases and things like that. But you bring all this to the table for this like, you know, influencer studded of, you know, weekend event, which really when you actually wound up seeing it in practice, in my head, I pictured this giving like baby Olympics, like a mini Olympic vibe, but it really just kind of felt like a fitness convention more than anything. And that's like, oh, that's so underwhelming. That's so like almost boring. It just almost didn't even seem worth talking about. But, you know, we were going to, you know, change the world with this shit, and we were going to see who was going to come out and actually perform. But, you know, we had that guy. Let's see here. What else do I really wanted to pull? We'll just keep reading. However, Martin wasn't finished yet. With the power of enhancements, we can prove we are the best we can ever think of, and you are living proof of that. He told a passionate crowd of fitness influencers and biotech investors. For the last 3 days, Enhance took over the internet. Enhance is culture. And now people can also get into Enhance and be the best they have ever been. While the vast majority of the 42 competing sprinters, swimmers, and weightlifters were taking banned substances such as testosterone, EPO, and anabolic steroids, 3 athletes who were also competing clean also won, which I think was something that was definitely like a bit of a sour note. And honestly, one of the highlights of the event. Like, oh, well, it actually is not that crazy of an advantage that you're on all this shit. Like, people are actually beating you. The Paris silver medalist Fred Curley was especially spicy after winning the men's 100 meter, telling his rivals, man, they need to do better than that. They need to work a little bit harder. Get on that shit a little bit more. It's like, dude, it would suck to just get gapped by the guy who's just doing this shit clean. Also, mind you, too, the entire time, they're being like screened, checked, so that, you know, it's like clear, hey, this entire time I'm not doping. Yes, I'm in the Enhanced Games, but I'm doing it to more or less prove a fucking point. I'm gonna get the bag and I'm gonna do it clean. I don't even need the shit. Tristan Evelyn, who was also competing here as a drug-free athlete, won the women's 100 meter in a very modest time of 11.25 seconds, and then said, this proves that winning takes more than chemistry. That wasn't the message organizers wanted to impart. In between events, the giant screen told spectators that events were taking 90.5% of testosterone esters, 78.6% human growth hormone, or HGH, 61.9% of stimulants, and then EPO 40.5. Both Curley and Evelyn left Las Vegas $250,000 richer, as did a third clean athlete, the American Hunter Armstrong, who won the men's 50-meter backstroke. And amen for these motherfuckers getting the bag, but also anyone who came to compete in this shit to get the bag. Because at the end of the day, I don't know. I think this kind of maybe brings me to a point that I've made before, and also was kind of like a sour thing to me to see that this shit wasn't as hype as I thought it would be in my head. Is like, hey, the idea of people just being able to go all out and like you can actually take anything and everything, at least within FDA boundaries. We're really opening this shit up, and you get to see people perform. And I think at the end of the day, these exhibitions of strength, like, I don't know, integrity, spirit of the game, da da da. Like, people are going to do doping. They're going to try to do the best they can to get around that shit, unfortunately. We would like to see an honest game, live in an honest world, but I just don't think that that's the case. So say, fuck it. Have a fucking games or have a fucking competition where people can just do that, and maybe that would be cool. Maybe that would be fucking fun. And then you see this shit, and it's just like, eh. And then not to mention, too, there was also moments where people just weren't able to like do what they came out there to do. Like people who were trying to do lifts and they failed. And I mean, hey, as a guy who's been lifting for, over a year now, like that shit sucks. And imagine doing that with a whole ass fucking audience. I remember my friends, like, I was lifting. I have other friends who are also, into it. And the thing got brought up. They're like, "Hey, Isaiah, would you ever want to like go to like a powerlifting competition, like an amateur thing, of course?" And I was like internally very scared. I was like, maybe, because I know that shit is fucking intense. Just the little bit I know. And then my friend got a little bit more details and came back to me. He's like, yeah, no, it really wasn't. It was going to be like a lot of money, and it's really technical. And yeah, I'm like, it's a lot. It's a whole fucking lot. And I know me personally, I just like doing this shit for fun. I can't imagine you're trying to do this shit. And in this situation, you're lifting weights that are astronomical. You're trying to hit feats that are astronomical. And then you flop on the big stage. That's a bummer. Now granted, you got, was it Thor Bjornsson or whatever? I'm fucking his name up. But, the Mountain from Game of Thrones, he did a lifting thing. He was one of the people who wasn't able to get it up, unfortunately. But, still, I guess in some regards, still cool to see him perform. Actually, I'm going to read this part. Before Glaucomne's performance, all of the hype and promises about the most controversial sporting event of the century appeared to be crashing down with an almighty thud. Excuse me. 5 hours in, several world record attempts had come and gone, and even Thor Bjornsson, the 6'7", Icelandic strongman who stars in Game of Thrones, was unable to shift the mood as he failed to deadlift he failed to beat his own deadlift best of 510 kilograms. How he tried, though. First he flinched as the smelling salts were snorted. Then, as the bar was raised above the ankles and towards the knees, he pushed and pushed, but it refused to budge anymore. That is such a terrible feeling. Like, it just sucks to, like, just have everything in you. Like, you mentally know that you want to get it up, and you can. But, like, your body is just not letting it fucking happen. And you're doing it this astronomical amount of weight, and once again, just nope, this is not today. It's like, goddamn. And there's more, stories in here if you want to get into the details, yada. I feel like I've yapped and gabbed enough about this I feel good. That being said, I do think it's cool to have the opportunity to do this, and I guess there's going to be more in the future. But like, I don't think it's going to be that major. I don't think the future is very bright for this shit. I think at the end of the day, too, and another thing that really sucked is that this was just, and not that the Olympics are any different here, but this was just an advertisement. It was just an advertisement for pharmaceuticals. Like, oh, okay, they're on this thing, and that's maybe what made them so good at this and doing this today or whatever. So it's like, oh, like the takeaway is this was for the shareholders. This was for the investors. It wasn't for the love of the game. It wasn't for the fucking sport. Like, and I think that maybe is what made it feel the most hollow-ish. I don't know, whatever. There's a lot of scruples. This is definitely like, don't see your wish come true, because it's a bit bleh. But So it goes. That's the episode. That's all I have for today. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/IsaiahNews. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube. Follow on TikTok. Follow on Spotify. Follow on Apple Podcasts. Wherever you like to listen. Let's see. Leave a like. Leave a cool comment. Leave a nice comment. I know. Speaking of flops, I know. Just say something cool or sweet, or I do appreciate it. Nothing at all. Thank you if that's the case. But sharing is caring. 5 stars on Spotify, 5 stars on Apple Podcast. You don't have to do any of that. It's whatever. I just appreciate you hanging out with me, letting me yap about the good, the bad, the ugly. It's always a good time. So thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.